Hello, class of 2010. My name is Jim Lomax, and I'm a member of the class of 1971 at Baylor, but here is the current Alumni Association president and have also been professor of psychiatry at Baylor. I'm coming to you virtually instead of in person because of the COVID-19 pandemic and how it forced Baylor to make the difficult decisions this past March to close our campus for a while. It included closing and not holding any of our events, including our reunion this year, which we'd really look forward to having with you. So we hope you appreciate that we are really sorry we weren't able to celebrate this important milestone in person with you. We know so many of you would love to come back to Houston to honor your Baylor experience, to catch up with old friends, and learn the sort of strides that Baylor has made and is making since your time here. Today, we hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy during this very, very challenging time. Like many of you, I've also felt a range of emotions, appreciation for the work of our frontline colleagues who've really been challenged, and sadness for the havoc wreaked by COVID-19, and then pride at the way in which the whole medical community has responded to this pandemic and pulled together in an extraordinary way. I hope I'm speaking for all of us at Baylor when I say we are proud of you. We feel honored and privileged to count you among the students who came to Baylor to learn the science and art of medicine and to carry it out and translate it into the world. I'd like to reminisce briefly about some of the notable events that occurred during each class year who were represented at this reunion. You might remember in 2010, you and your classmates selected Gabriel Habib, Professor of Cardiology, as the John P. McGovern Outstanding Teacher Award for the Clinical Sciences. Also in 2010, Apple unveiled its latest gadget, the iPad. The Affordable Care Act passed Congress and was signed into law. And social media was changed forever by the launch of a little app called Instagram. Much has changed since you graduated, but the respect and awe for all facets of human health you brought to Baylor, as well as the medical expertise and scientific knowledge you gained here, have evolved but not changed. Your passion, hard work, and commitment to medicine shine as bright as it did when you graduated. Now, more than ever, our professions are being called to serve as beacons of hope. Clinicians, researchers, educators, you all exemplify how medical professionals can illuminate the path forward for people who otherwise may not have that guidance. Each of you has been lighting the way for those around you since you left Baylor. In your offices, your labs, or the classrooms, you lead. For your patients, your colleagues, your students, and your loved ones, you carry the torch. And Baylor is honored to have been a part of your success. We value you and your accomplishments and are so proud to celebrate this anniversary year with you. Again, I wish we could be together to celebrate the anniversary of your graduation from Baylor, but we'll offer our congratulations on reaching this milestone and for setting a shining example for others.
Thank you, Dr. Lomax. It's great to see all of you. Unfortunately, it's virtual. As you probably know, we had a virtual graduation, and now we're having a virtual alumni event. But appreciate your participation, and thanks so much. I wanted to catch you up on all the things that are related to the COVID-19 pandemic that Baylor College of Medicine has been involved with. The first thing is our Center for Microbiome Research was the first group to find out that the virus actually had an intermediate species. It went from bat to pangolin to humans. And this was Joe Petrosino's group. They found that the spike protein was almost identical to a virus that's in pangolins. And so clearly the bat coronavirus acquired the spike protein in pangolins, and then it became aerosolized and infectious for people. It may still be that there's an intermediate step, but we don't know. But at least the first identification that was from Joe Petrosino's group. The other thing is we're very much involved with therapies. So Peter Hotez's group has been working on a vaccine. This is a recombinant protein vaccine to the spike protein with an adjuvant He's one of the 14 vaccine programs going, and we're very excited about his work, and he's about to enter into human trials for that. In addition to that, we've been leaders in testing. Tony Piedro's lab, in the flu vaccine unit, started very early on in creating a very strong and good test for the coronavirus nucleic acid. That came online very quickly. We created a much bigger lab for him, and his group has been able to ramp up to almost 1,000 tests a day. We also brought on Richard Gibbs's center, the Human Genome Center, and he's been able to use the equipment there and the automation to begin to test up to 1,000, even up to as high as 5,000 tests a day. And as a result, we've been providing a lot of the backup for the city and also for the county. So when the county does mass testing, it comes into our institution now, and we've been the ones doing the tests. In addition to that, Tony's group has developed a very, very good antibody assay, one that is 99% specific. And Texas is still kind of in a low prevalence state. We have a very quickly rising incidence of disease, but our prevalence is pretty low. And in that situation, as you know, it's very important to have a highly specific test so you don't have too many false positives. So we are about to start doing a surveillance test for the county where we can do both the RNA test, which will look at incidence, and the antibody test, which will look at prevalence, so we can begin to help the city and the county identify hotspots. There are 30 mobile test sites, and we want to be able to help the public health system identify where those mobile sites should go. And so, just so you know, Baylor College of Medicine is leading again in even dealing with this. In addition to that, our clinical trials unit has participated in pretty much all of the important clinical trials. We've been involved with the convalescent serum study, the remdesivir study, and the IL-6 inhibitor study. So we are very much engaged in trying to deal with this. And we've had grants given to many of our faculty to try and identify either pathogenesis or novel targets to be treated. And that is through our drug discovery group and Marty Matzik. So lots of stuff going on. You'd be very proud of your institution knowing that we're addressing all aspects of this global pandemic in a way you'd be proud of. Interestingly enough, we have also we're a company just like everybody else. We've had to scale back. We were basically, we never closed our doors, but we basically restricted our activities to about 25% from the very beginning. We had to reduce our mouse colony. We had to reduce the number of investigators. Our students left the wards for a while. We had to close down a lot of the activities, elective surgery, and even our clinic visits. But slowly but surely, we're opening back up. Our clinical mission is sort of leading in that regard. We're almost up to 50 to 60% of our previous volumes, and so far we've been showing by surveillance testing that there's been no transmission between patient and provider or between providers. So we're doing a lot of surveillance to make sure that doesn't happen. Our students are now back on the wards, and I'm very grateful to our affiliates for permitting that. And they need to learn about this as well. Obviously, this is very dangerous for everyone, but it's also a wonderful learning experience for our students. Our scientific efforts are starting back. It's a little bit slower. Paradoxically, we spent so much time compressing everybody so we'd be very efficient in labs. That makes it very difficult for us to behave in the new COVID world where we try to have social distancing. And so you can imagine we've had to go through every bench and create 6-foot radius circles so that we can protect our people in the labs from transmission. So that's going a little bit slower. We're at about 25 to 35% of our previous activities. But the good news is, as always, we're aggressive at applying for grants. We've received over 25 NIH grants to study COVID-19. So on the one hand, we're slowing up, but on the other hand, we're getting a lot of grants to try and address the global pandemic. So on the educational side, we're doing a lot more virtually. Our admissions process will be virtual. Our residents interview process will be virtual. You can imagine how difficult it is. The one really amazing thing that has dramatically accelerated is our clinics have become virtual. So telehealth, that something that was very slow to evolve in medicine, is now rampant, and it's actually going very well. We went from having no telehealth visits to having 12,000 in 1 month. So it's fascinating to watch the impact of this pandemic, and I think the telehealth thing will probably stay with us a long time. Patients love it, actually. Our patient approval is over 90% for their telehealth visits, and so I think that's going to be a big part of our new primary care. I wanted to bring one thing up to you that's really, really important. As you know, I'm coming from you today from the Cullen building. My office is president is in the Cullen building. Fantastic, beautiful Art Deco building. First building on the Texas Medical Center, and was added to the historic registry a few years ago. And it is a great historic building, and it is totally inappropriate for training a modern medical student or graduate student for that matter. And what we're planning on doing is building a brand new educational building that will combine all of our schools and will allow us to do a lot more virtually, a lot more simulation. Will be much more on the small group learning, case-based learning. We're very excited about that. We hope to put that in the TMC3 project, which is the new development on the other side of the bayou, right next to the McNair campus. That is going to be a biotech hub. We have 2 buildings planned there, our education building and a population health building, sort of our big data science building. They're actually joined together because we want our students to have projects in population health as they walk in the door. So they're already learning about how to manage populations and deal with big data sets. That's going to be the most exciting thing that happens for this institution probably in the next 50 years. It's really important because, like the Cullen building, it'll be the sort of first building on what's the new part of the Texas Medical Center, what they're calling now the Central Campus. And when you think about it, it's ideal for us. It's our 36-acre McNair campus where our adult clinical activities are, right across the street from the VA where we are also present, and then it'll be our medical school building. We will continue to stay on this campus, but most of it will be our wet lab space. So we have 2.5 million square feet of space that's really wet lab, but will remain on this campus with most of our clinical and educational activities going over to the other side of the bio, to the TMC3 and the McNair campus. I'm very excited about that. We have really cool pictures. I will be sending a lot of this out to you in the future by email, so don't throw away all those emails that we send you. And hopefully you'll get excited about it and want to participate. On behalf of the Baylor College of Medicine community, thank you, class of 2010, for preserving Baylor's legacy and for your commitment to our school and to your profession. Thank you.